Today's guest is Abbie Atherton. She's one of the best when it comes to motivating and helping women level themselves up and have a better lifestyle. In today's episode, we're going to be talking through all the different ways you can help yourself self-improve and all the different ways you can have better self-worth. I hope you enjoy this episode. Please follow on Spotify. Please subscribe on YouTube. And now let's get straight into it. Something that obviously I've researched before we come on this episode is your Instagram bio, which reads 1% better every day. What is the meaning behind it?
1% better to me is being above average and doing a little bit more every single day. But in general, I would say it's being open to committing to a discovery journey and open to growth. So if you want to be 1% better, then you're committed to just adapting, changing, doing that a little bit more, and not settling for average or settling for where you've currently been or previously been. It's always wanting to expand and do that little bit more.
So it's like a journey of self-improvement.
Yeah, it's all self-development. I do root everything I do kind of in lifestyle and becoming better, just being better overall. Not even... It's not 1% better than other people or anything like that. It's 1% better than who you've been before, or your performance being better, just habits being better, you being kinder, showing up like a nicer person every single day. It doesn't just have to be fitness. It can just be your personality in general, your qualities, what traits you show up as. So yeah.
There's a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen for business, which is literally for their employees to work 1% better every day. Yeah. I'm not sure if you've heard about it.
Well, for Secret Santa, Alex, who I work with, he got me a mug that said Kaizen on because he knows that I just preach that all day, every day.
Because that's the 1% better every day mentality. And I think the main thing that they find from using that business philosophy in Japan is an improvement in self-productivity.
Yeah.
And self-improvement of people then wanting to improve themselves where they work. So then obviously the business grows. And is that kind of what you instill into yourself and clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Every single thing that I do. And my clients definitely use that, because I think even for people starting off their fitness journey as well, if we go to the very beginning, if they see just 1% better as the motive rather than this big, huge result, this big, huge change, it's just it's less overwhelming for people. It feels more manageable. People aren't as scared to start. They can start small. It defeats the all or nothing kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the small wins that lead up to the big win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's all your daily habits, all them small things that add up. They're more important because they're what last.
And what about people who struggle to realise the areas in their life that they want to improve?
I think it's all relative to what you're lacking. Because we can all want to improve in absolutely every single area. You probably need a goal to know where you want to improve, because if you don't have an end destination, how do you know what you need to change to get there? I think just goal setting would help you know where to improve, and just analysing where you're currently at, being super present with who you are, what you believe, what you're currently doing, will help you understand what you want to change about that.
And how important is it to, obviously setting goals, we all know it helps you work towards something, but the difference between a longer term goal and shorter term goals, is that something that you do?
So your longer term goal is what the short term goals tend to lead towards.
So that'll go back to the 1% every day?
Yeah, but I'd work backwards. So if a client comes to me and they've got a goal for the end of the year, then we'd work from there to now. What little things do we need to do every single day that are going to add up to that? You don't need to do it all at once. It's what small things can we change? And also not taking things out of what you're already doing, maybe adding some things in that are more manageable, or just changing little habits here and there that then get you to that long-term goal, but you'll achieve the shorter ones on the way, which will keep your momentum going.
How would you help someone go about setting the first goal, or do you feel like some people struggle to set goals?
I think that people lack confidence when they're setting goals because they don't think they can achieve what they absolutely can. People put limiting beliefs on themselves, and they just need that little push to be you can do it, other people can do it, you can do it. There's no reason why you can't achieve what you put your mind to. So I think the reason people would struggle to set a goal is because they don't actually deep down believe that they deserve to achieve it. And there's that many things that you can achieve in life that people see it all, want it all, and then do none of it.
And I think a lot of people struggle to feel a sense of being or purpose when they've not got a goal set.
Yeah.
There's a chapter in a book by Maxwell Maltz which talks about the human brain being related to a bicycle, and he's basically saying how if you don't move forwards, and you're sitting still on a bike, you're gonna feel uncomfortable, you're gonna feel uneasy, you're gonna feel shaky, like you're gonna fall off. But if you're moving forwards, you're going to feel more stable, and you're going to feel like you've got a sense of direction. I feel like that can come towards if you've got a goal set. If you've got no goal set and you're sat still and nothing's really going on, that's when you start to feel shaky, uncomfortable, like you've got nothing going on in your life. Whereas if there's something set in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, it's like, right, I've got something that I'm supposed to be working towards.
Yeah, I think it's all self-fulfillment as well, isn't it? Like, if you don't have direction, you don't have intention. And one thing, when people lack intention, you're not happy at all. Like, the people who are happy are the people who are going about, they've got goals set, they're working towards them, they know who they are, they know what they're doing. And it sounds dead daft saying they know who they are, but like, if you don't have an intention with why you're showing up, you're just going to feel a little bit lost. Yeah, so that's just down to that doesn't have to be a fitness goal. That can be a goal within any section of your life as well.
So for someone who comes, you've got them so they know how to set a goal, and then it's the motivation to bring them to come and do it. How would you go about when you're feeling demotivated to get yourself like into the gym and train, or go at a task that might be to do with work, business related?
Personally, like for me, I don't lack motivation personally, and that probably sounds a little bit weird, but like, I've just got the discipline that I just get up and do whatever I need to do because I know how much better I'll feel at the end of the day. The people who lack motivation don't necessarily actually lack motivation. It's just their mood, and they need to work on what makes them feel that way. Because motivation, I don't really think it's a real thing. It's just a made up feeling. But if you just keep pushing past any sort of emotions that you get, like just showing up when you say you're going to, committing to what you've said you'll commit to, like training with other people or like bringing other people in on your goals can help with that. But yeah, I don't personally struggle with it. Obviously, I deal with a lot of clients who do, because that's like a big thing. Oh, I'm not motivated today, whatever. Well, there's still things that need to be done. And if you want to make a change, and you actually want to make a change as well, because there's a difference. Some people say they have a goal, but they actually don't really care. But if the people who do really want the goal, they will just get stuff done. And you do have to learn that as well. I don't think I've always been like that. There's been setbacks, there's been things that happen in my life that make me like the way I am now. But it's just to get up and go. And if you say you're going to do something, do it. Self-respect will boost. Like the way that you handle yourself, you hold yourself around people, like that all just improves with that. Yeah.
Motivation gets you there, discipline keeps you there.
Yes.
That's probably one of the biggest quotes that I try and put onto clients as well, or use myself, because it's all well and good saying, like you said, the person who said they've got a goal set, but if you're not actually turning up and doing it, there's going to be no result at the end. I feel like some people can tell people about all the goals they've got set because it gives them some sort of hit of dopamine, which I hate saying on podcasts. I feel like every single person talks about it, but almost saying that, all right, I'm going to achieve this, and talking about it in the pub with their mates, or talking about it in the group chat with the girls or whoever it might be, and saying, I've got this planned, I'm going to do it. That makes them feel better about themselves when they're not actually doing anything about it. No. They should just be getting on with it and doing the training.
Yeah, it's the instant gratification, isn't it? If you say you're going to do something, you get the same dopamine hit as when you kind of do it and people congratulate you, and you're like, oh, you're going to do that? Yeah, cool. Like, I want to do that. It's all just like the excitement of it, isn't it? It's like, I think I might have got this from you. You might have seen this on yours when you've been scrolling, about you can scroll on TikTok and get that hit of motivation, and then you just end up carrying on and you're just waiting for the next motivation. Like you don't actually, you need to find, to be fair, it might even just be they've got the wrong goal. If you're not motivated, you need to want it. You need not even enjoy it all of the time, but you need to enjoy what you're doing to a degree. Because if you don't, like obviously there's going to be hard times, but if you don't actually enjoy what you're doing and then the outcome that you desire, then you're not going to be motivated.
100%. And obviously getting the mentality that I think a lot of people don't recognize, that you're not doing something to show off to others or achieve something to then say to other people, look at what I've done. It needs to be an internal belief that you actually want to do that thing. Like for me, when it comes to training, obviously it's good being in shape, but it's not for other people to look at. It's for my own self-respect. I'm a big believer that you're a walking billboard of your own self-respect. If you've got your top off and, you look out of shape and you look unhealthy, obviously other people are going to think that. But if I see myself in the mirror, I just think, I don't want to look like that. And I've got no respect at all. I don't look after the food that I eat or how much training that I do. And it hurts me. It's nothing to do with anybody else. And even if it's to, say, do a high rocks or go and run a marathon or whatever, I like doing those hard things because then if anything else hard comes up in the future, I know that I can go and hit it head on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's trying to not have that gratification off other people as well.
Yeah, no, massively. That's what I kind of put on to clients. I think you only get that when you do hard things, though. I don't think people would really understand that unless they've done hard things. Because the growth that you go through in your own mind when you've done something hard and you didn't think you could do it. This is what I say to all my clients anyway. Like, everybody is always capable of doing more than they think. Absolutely everybody. And it's just self-doubt and limiting beliefs and stuff that stop you. But like when I was training for my marathon, like I didn't actually do enough training at all. But the long training runs that I did do were horrific. Like they were just so awful that I knew when it came to the day, there's no doubt that I can't do it because I've done worse. And like, if you just keep showing up and doing hard things, you build up that belief in yourself. And when you've got belief in yourself, you've got confidence. That's all confidence is. It's higher self-respect. And if you show up when you say you're going to, and I say this all the time, you commit to your commitments, nobody can knock you. Like, that is what confidence is. It's not showing off your body all the time or doing this, doing that. It's being dead comfortable with who you are, knowing who you are, and knowing that you are capable of absolutely anything.
And that all comes obviously from like a massive build up of almost a personal CV of all the hard things that you've done, all the things that you've put yourself through and you've come out of better. But obviously when you're going through those difficult situations like the training for the marathon, like I said, it's not easy. Yeah. It's hard, whether you're studying for an exam or you're trying to launch some new business, you're going to have these struggles, you're going to have these issues, and there's going to be mistakes, there's going to be setbacks, but that's where you learn and that is where you grow. And I think a lot of people who are trying to strive for something better than where they currently are, they run into these issues and then they think that the world's against them and it's not for them because they're having a tough time. But that's a sign that you're going in the right direction. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it is difficult. One of the things I wanted to ask you as well, obviously being a female coach and coaching a lot of females, what is female empowerment to you?
Female empowerment is everything. Like, that's absolutely everything to me. It's what is my base for anything. And I think for any female that should be what runs through us. I think it's lifting each other up. It's not even just females lifting females up. It's men lifting us up. It's us lifting men up and feeling like we're allowed to do that. And I think, I don't want to use the word lucky because it's like we're lucky compared to what used to be, not lucky in general. So like if you think about previous, like there wasn't that many women entrepreneurs. It's definitely not how you say it, but you know what I mean. Yeah. There's not like women in the gym as much. Like if you look at older generations compared to now, we are so lucky. And I'm using that word loosely. Like you wouldn't even imagine, like when I was doing the marathon training, I think it might have been my mum who told me women weren't allowed to race.
To do the races, yeah.
How mad is that? Like, I would never, my generation and then the girls after me and stuff, like, that would never cross our mind. Like, when I'm entering all the stuff that I do, it's not, I never ever think like, oh, as a female, I might not be able to do, like, that doesn't enter my mind. So I think it's just showing up because we can. And for the previous people who couldn't, it's like, you just can't imagine it. You can't imagine it at all. And I think girls lifting girls up is just the most amazing thing. And I'm sorry, because you do miss out, like, all the girly stuff. Like, I am definitely just one of the girls. I love it. Like, if a girl compliments me, that will make my week. Yeah. Like, the thing that you can build with females, this is why me and Millie are building our wellness brand. We've got our first event next week with like 50 girls. It's going to be the most gorgeous, safe space for anybody. And that energy and aura that is built when women are just kind to each other, kind to themselves, which makes them kind to each other, it's just the best thing ever.
And do you feel like a lot of women can struggle to want to do something because they feel like they can't?
Yes, but I don't think they realise that is why. So I think it's a subconscious like built-in belief that we're not allowed to be powerful.
So almost like a limiting belief that then they need someone to come along. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I don't think it's like girls thinking, because I'm a girl, I can't. I think it's just taught from a young age that like we're not meant to be powerful, we're not meant to be loud, we're not meant to be competitive, we're not meant to excel in sport, we're not meant to do business, we shouldn't handle the money, you know, like all of those things that we don't see nowadays, like to us, our age, but like obviously the older generations, you still think it, so it's still taught, it's still underlying in some areas. But yeah, it's mad to think.
Yeah, because one of the studies which I was going to question you on was that there was a survey conducted on all females which shown that 80% of them lacked self-esteem. Why do you think that is?
80% is a large number.
I know, very large number.
I think it's probably majorly accurate, but I think a degree of that would be females actually do have more self-esteem, but they feel like they can't say they do because they'll be seen as too much or too confident. I don't actually think 80% of us surely have that lack of self-esteem. It'll still be a high number because I think from social media nowadays, I think the unrealistic expectations of females, how we should look, what we should be achieving at this age, men as well, like nowadays with social media, like what we all think we should have done by the age that we're at is just wild, and so your self-esteem does shrink when you're open to seeing all of that success such young. But I think with females, we have been battered down, just like in history, to not being good enough, and females will carry that. There's always, I think there's more of an emphasis on how we look to how men look, and that's obviously going to take a bit of a hit on your self-esteem over time.
Yeah, because self-esteem, like for me, is just that sense of being. It's not actually your confidence, it's not your own self-respect. And like when I seen the study myself, and I wasn't shocked, because obviously, like you said, I feel like if it was reflected in it was men, I didn't actually do the research on it, but I'm sure it would match, because I feel like you said, a lot of people who are going through the TikTok generation of seeing how successful other people are, or comparing to other people who are doing a lot better than them, it can be a massive struggle, and then they feel like they're not enough when they're doing a lot better than probably 90% of other people. You're just looking at the 1%, and it's this constant battle of trying to be better than those who are better than you, but also accepting that you're better than a lot of other people, and trying to, like you said, find that sort of, what was the word that you used at the start, that sense of self where you're happy with where you currently are and you know what you want to do, and not setting unrealistic goals or comparing to other people, because that's what's going to knock your self-esteem. And I think comparison on social media is probably one of the biggest reasons because of that.
Yeah, social media is amazing in so many ways, and like I'm not going to pretend that I don't love it, because I do. Like I love all the aesthetic stuff, I'm really here for it. I love all the content creation that people do, I'm here for it. But I think being subject to that every single day can massively dwarf like how you view your success and just who you are as a person. This is why I always talk about being present and being grounded and grateful with who you are and what you're doing, taking time offline as well. But you can wake up in the morning and like, I don't go on my phone in the morning anymore. I'll literally turn my alarm off. I'm vertical as soon as my alarm goes off, because I can't do more than one alarm. I'm vertical. I text my boyfriend and say good morning, and then that's it. I don't go on my phone until later on in the day then, or like after I've trained, after I've had clients, whatever. Because when I was going on social media, first thing, you end up scrolling. I could see like 40 girls in the space of like 2 minutes while I'm scrolling down. One could be in a bikini in Dubai looking incredible. One could have just bought a house. You know, like you're letting all these people into your day before you've even got up. And I might then look at myself in the mirror and think, oh God, I don't look that good today. And if I hadn't seen the picture of a girl in a bikini, I might not have even looked at my body at all that morning. And I might not be looking at my body comparing it to hers, but subconsciously I've seen that. So I'm looking at myself and thinking, you look rubbish. And then it shadows your whole day. So it can have a hold on people, like me included, it can. But it's then also, it can be a place of motivation. It can be a place for positive things as well.
And obviously you have to find yourself to understand if it's motivating you or if it's having a negative effect. One of the quotes that I've compared to social media is, comparison is the thief of joy. So if I was to do a marathon, I could go on my TikTok and someone's doing an ultra marathon. If I did a high rock, someone's just done 2 in a row or 3 in a row. Or if I've done some sort of diet, there's a bodybuilder stepping on stage who looks a lot better. There's always going to be someone, unfortunately, who's doing a little bit better, but you might be better than them in other areas of your life. And obviously, gratitude and being grateful for where you currently are is going to help you be grounded and understand that you're in such a good position yourself as well. How important is gratitude to you?
Yeah, I don't think I could get through my days in a good mental headspace if I wasn't grateful for where I'm currently at. And I think you realise that when you go through hard things that you can't control. Because it's like, if you're not grateful for now, you're not going to remember how good your life is. I think it's easy to get swept up in your day, get swept up with work, like we work all the time. Or even just get swept up with the next goal. It could be anything. But if you're not present with your body right now and how you're feeling, what you're grateful for, and I think people cringe a little bit at journaling and at gratitude and stuff. But deep down, if you know how you're feeling and if you can look at the world a little bit better each day, then you're going to show up better and you're going to be a nicer person. You're going to be a better person. I think gratitude's essential for everybody. And the people that don't practice it should.
And what would journaling be one of the main things that you'd do for gratitude?
You don't have to. I personally just write down 3 gratitudes per day, and I have since lockdown. I just like doing that. But it can even, you can say one in the morning. You can say it to other people. Like one thing that I have tried to do is I've started posting like a little journal prompt and stuff, but one being what qualities you want to show the world today. Like that's one that I've been doing. Not every day, but when I remember. And that could be kindness. It could be discipline. So if you're someone who isn't committing to your commitments, you're not actually eating the right food, or you're going to miss that training session and stuff. It's like, if you tell yourself, I'm going to show discipline today, you're going to get those things done. Or it could be you want to show kindness. It's just being aware. Like, if you're aware and present with yourself, you're going to feel grounded. You're going to feel like you've got intention, fulfillment. It's all of the self-development positive traits you get from understanding where you are and being grateful for it.
Well, then on the flip side of that, could you have someone who's trying to be too grateful that then doesn't want to push themselves out of the comfort zone? Yeah,
like if you're settling. I think settling is different to being present. And I don't think settling's always a bad thing. I'd only say you can settle a little bit if you've just achieved something massive and then you're sitting in it for like a week before you go again. But being present with a goal is important. Being present is just being, like, and not always looking ahead, because that'll just bash your self-worth. If you always don't think that right now is good enough, because right now is good enough. And then if you keep working if you keep working for your future self as well as your present self, then your future self will also be in a good place.
Yeah.
Just being present along the journey. If you're not, then what's the point in the journey? Because you get to the 100%. End and you've not enjoyed what you've been doing.
100%. How important is it having that community side of things when it comes to achieving goals?
I'm such a community person. Like, I'm actually really antisocial, but within sport and within fitness and within wellness, I just cannot get enough of group training. And I never used to. I trained with my brothers first, and then I just trained on my own weights. But now I'm in a run club. I train with all my classes. Like, I love training with people because you end up finding, I think I've been very lucky with who I've found as well. Because I can't say a bad thing about anybody that I train with. They're just incredible. Everyone lifts you up.
Would you say lucky though, or would you say you've put yourself into the situations where you wanted to grow and then you found similar people?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can attract the right people by being the right person. Absolutely. But I love the people that I train with so much, and I wouldn't have some friendships that I have now. I wouldn't have the experiences that I have now. Like I said before about motivation, like group training massively can help that. I don't need the drive to turn up because I'm so excited. Yeah. Or like, you also don't want to let people down, because I will not let anybody down. Like, that is probably the worst feeling. So it's adding another person to your accountability. So then you're like, I've told them I'm going to show up, so I'm absolutely going to show up.
Yeah. I think that's so important. Obviously, there's the old cliche quote of you're a product of the 5 closest people you spend your most time with, but it's where you spend your time as well. Like you were saying there, putting yourself into the situations where you wanted to grow as an individual, you obviously wanted to get fitter because you was meeting these people in the gym. Those people are on the same journey as you, so then your goals kind of marry up. You're going to spend more time with each other. You have that extra form of accountability, and it's just so important. And I think a lot of people can go into not a pit, I don't want to use that word, but they can go into a habit of feeling lonely when they're trying to improve themselves or they're trying to better themselves, because they don't feel like a lot of other people are trying to achieve the things that they are. Do you find that a lot of people struggle with that?
I think only people who are outgrowing the people around them, and it doesn't need to mean like outgrowing all the time. You can come back as friends and stuff like that. But if the people that you surround yourself with don't agree with your goals, or they're stopping you from achieving your goals, then you need to reassess. I think you don't have to have the same goals as all the people around you. Like me and my mum definitely don't have the same goals, and like me and some of my friends, they don't have a fitness goal at all. But it doesn't mean I need to completely stay away from them if they can support what I'm doing. So like when I was in Mykonos last year, the girls was going out every single night and I just stayed in, and they were not bothered. They supported that. They don't mind. But if you've got the type of friend who's like, oh, come on, have a drink, do this, do that, you need to separate yourself if that's not something that you want to do.
Yeah, it's having that balance. There's an analogy of the crabs in the bucket, where you can catch loads of crabs in a bucket, but eventually one of them's going to try and crawl out. But what do the other crabs do? They come and drag it back down. And there's the whole sense of everybody wants you to do well, but nobody wants to see you doing better than them. And it's kind of being, again, self-aware and understanding what people want you to do well and what you actually want to do, and if it correlates up with those people. Like you said, if you've got the friends who are asking you, oh, come for a drink, and they're forcing it down your face, and you really don't want to, I'd have a look at your friendship group.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're going out on the weekend and you're going to the pub and you've had it settled in your brain that you're going to have a couple of drinks with your mates, fair enough, go and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But you need to find that balance. And I think, does that, for yourself, does that come from you being more self-aware about what you want?
Yeah, I think it probably took a while, but then when I'm thinking back, I actually can't really remember ever feeling pressured to do anything. I think I've always been quite strong-minded in a sense of like, if I don't want to drink, I am absolutely not going to drink. Like, I'm just not. And that's not coming from, oh, because I can't drink because it's going to make me this, that. It's because I actually just don't want to. And I know that if I do, I'll just regret it after because I've done it for somebody else. I've not done it for myself. But if you build up like enough respect for yourself, then you're gonna do what you want to do. And as long as it's not harming anybody else, and you know that it's just for the greater good of you and the people around you as well. Because like, I know that when I've stayed out, when I've not wanted to stay out as such, not drinking, but like I've just not wanted to stay out when I've then brought the other people with me down because I'm stood there, don't want to be there at all, but they want to, so I'm like, oh, I'll just stay. And then they're like, Abbie, you're making this rubbish. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. And I should just go home. Because if you just do what you want to do, everybody is better off, unless it's like in a harmful way, which it won't be if you've got good intentions.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, because then if you're turning up to these events and you don't really want to, you can make it worse for them. And if somebody's then pressuring you into doing something, you're going to feel worse the day after anyway. So it's like, just realise what you want to do and just go and do it.
Yeah, execute it.
100%. So one of the things that we've touched on there is obviously self-esteem and confidence. What are the main ways you'd sort of push onto someone or recommend for someone to help them improve their confidence?
I would start with being nicer to your current self, and not being so negative about where you currently are, just as a base. And then from there, I would figure out what your goal's going to be. Like, what do you want to change if you're not currently happy at where you are? And then just do the work. Whatever it takes, do the work. If your goal's to do with work, you want to earn so much, or you want to end up doing this sort of job, or if it's within fitness, you want to lose this amount of weight, you want to perform this well, you want to do this event, whatever. If you just set your goal and you do the work, like you honestly do the work, it could even be a tiny goal of like, doing 10k steps a day. Like, I'm literally, any goal, if you do it and you show yourself you can do it absolutely every day, no excuse, then you're going to build up confidence and you build up self-esteem. When I say be nicer to yourself now as well, it's like when you say one negative thing to yourself, because we all do. Like, I'm not going to pretend I sit here and like big myself up all the time. When you say one negative thing about yourself, just say one positive thing, and just keep reminding yourself that you are enough. And your confidence will build when you show yourself that you're enough. Like, just keep going and do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, 100%. And for somebody who is trying to improve the confidence and then they see the other person who's doing better than them, like we touched on before, do you think jealousy and envy can creep in and that can be a massive issue for people?
Yeah, I think jealousy isn't always a bad trait because it's normal. Like, I absolutely get jealous of people who have houses already and they look gorgeous and the interior is beautiful. Or I get jealous of people who have the freedom to travel absolutely everywhere all the time, and that's not a negative thing. That's
it's
just
natural.
life. Yeah. But if that's then making you feel like you're not worthy and you're not enough, then that's a problem. Within like your fitness and stuff, that leads to competition. like the jealousy and like trying to be better than other people. There's no one on your journey other than you, and no one will be able to do what you want to do. It's just all on you. So like, I don't really think jealousy is worth it when it turns negative, when it's a self-development journey, because no one is you. Like, absolutely nobody is you. I know there's that many people in the world. No one is you. And that's what's really important.
Yeah. And going back to when we touched on self-esteem, obviously the person with adequate self-esteem won't feel envy towards anybody else because they understand who they currently are. They understand what position they're in. They won't feel any sort of jealousy or envy. Yeah, they might do, but they accept that they are who they are, and they're grounded, they're grateful, and they're just going to carry on knocking down the doors that they want to. They don't need to compare themselves to anybody else, because like I mentioned before, is like comparison is the thief of joy. It will always make you feel like your situation's worse when it's definitely not.
No, I think comparison is good if it's you against you. You can compare to other people lightheartedly and just be like, oh, they did this, I did this, like, and compare, like when we do high rocks or whatever, like I might look at the team that beat me and I might look at their splits and whatever, and I'll compare our times, but I'm not comparing thinking I hate you, I need to be better than you. It's more like, right, you're incredible, I want to be as good as you, so I'm going to compare our times. You know, it's looking at things in a much nicer and light-hearted way. But that's also just grounded in different people's personalities, I think. Yeah,
and obviously, like you said, when the person who might have got a better time than you on the run or the high rocks or whatever, it's not then going, I'm awful, I'm not as good as them. It's having that mentality that they're just that little bit better, and you need to then have that positive mentality that you want to be just as good as them. How important is self-talk? Because we've spoken about this on a podcast with Andrew Keeler, who we had on, I can't remember what episode it was, and an analogy that he gave, which I use now with my clients and I actually implemented into my own life myself, is instead of just saying, I'm going to go to the gym to tick a box, it's like, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to absolutely smash it. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to push myself to absolute failure. And that will gear you up for a better session just by having that little change and talking to yourself a bit differently. Is that something that you use?
I talk to myself all the time. I was talking to myself on the way here and I'm like, you're going to be fine. You're fine. Like when I'm running, it's like, you're absolutely fine. It's okay. But I don't really specifically change the way that I speak to myself with intention. I just do speak out loud and talk to myself a lot. And I think if you're just going round, it's the same with journaling, writing down though. And because I would class journaling as self-talk anyway, because you're just writing it down to yourself. 100%. Yeah. But when you do, like, say I've got something going on, like I can be dead stressed and I've got loads of things going on in the week in my head. I just lose my head a little bit. All my thoughts are going round and round and round, and I'm not understanding how I actually feel. And so if you write it down or you talk to yourself about it, it kind of feels like it's somebody else. So you can see it from a logical point of view rather than emotional. Like if you're not understanding where you are, and like when I'm writing things down, it feels like it's someone else's point of view. So I understand myself better. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not actually stressed about that. I'm fine about that. And it is just going through the motions and understanding yourself.
Yeah, they talk about that in the Chimp Paradox,
yes.
which I think you've read. Yeah. And kind of detaching yourself from your current thoughts, and as if you're in a relationship with yourself, not in a weird way, but as if you are coaching yourself now, or anyone can do this who's listening right now. If you was to look at your own thoughts and the way that you talk to yourself, and if you was to talk to somebody else like that, would you be friends with them? If you was talking to yourself like a piece of shit and you was telling yourself that you're the worst person in the world, you're behind on all your work, you're never going to be successful, if somebody else was saying that to you, you wouldn't be mates with them. So why would you be doing it to yourself? I think self-talk's massive. I think that if you spoke to yourself in a better way, you'd get better results. Yeah. And journaling's amazing because you're categorizing everything as well. You can look at it and it's literally written down on a piece of paper like it's some sort of article that you're reading. And I think it's so important that people do have the understanding that the way they talk to themselves day to day has a massive effect. And again, that comes back to being self-aware.
Yeah, I think I know you hear your voice more than anybody else's. And so if that's negative, then you're just beating yourself down. It's just self-sabotage, isn't it? So yeah, definitely just starting with writing down how you're feeling is a good place, because I think people don't really know where to start with journaling, but just writing down your thoughts, like what are you currently thinking? And I always start with my 3 gratitudes because that just helps my brain understand if I am actually grateful for all those things or I've just written them down for the sake of it. And then I need to humble myself and be like, no, you're grateful for where you are now. And then I'd start writing just how I'm feeling. Because you might not be feeling the way that you think you are when you write it down, and you'll understand. Yeah,
there was an analogy that I think I spoke about on the podcast, one of the first episodes, or one that I read, which talks about like meditation and journaling, because I kind of put them hand in hand, because you're still thinking about thoughts that have been building up in your head all day, all week when it's been stressful. When you're meditating, the difference with journaling is you're just getting them down on a piece of paper. Whereas when you're meditating, you're actually thinking about them and knocking them off in your own brain. There's no actual physical form of writing. But all they're both doing is they're opening the unopened emails. Now, if you go into my emails, you'd see that there's about 12,000 notifications that have not been read. I know, and it does my head in every single day. But that's like the thoughts that have built up over the last couple of months, the last couple of weeks of the things where, right, now I'm going to sit down over the last day. How am I feeling? How am I thinking? And that could help some people just have a better night's sleep. Sometimes some people stay up at night because there's so much going on in the brain that they've been at work all day, they've trained, they've sorted out things with family, with friends, they're trying to arrange something for this weekend, they're not sure what time they need to get up in the morning, they're stressed for the meeting they've got at the end of the week, they can't actually sleep. So if you just write things down, you can think, right, I'm going to leave that, and when I wake up, I'll go back to it. So that's one of the biggest things I've always taken from journaling. But again, that does come down to you doing a little bit of work. You have to do that little bit of work. It's not just something where you're going to magically write these things down and everything's going to change.
You're going to be fixed.
You have to write them down and you have to act on them, and you have to be like, right, this is how I'm feeling at the minute, and I'm going to sort of work on top of that. With us speaking about confidence, and we were speaking about training in a community, do you ever feel like it can be competitive? I know you've spoken about, obviously, like when you're doing the high rocks and somebody might be doing a little bit better than you. How do you instill the mentality that competitiveness is healthy and not unhealthy?
I think it's relative with what you're being competitive about. So like if it's every single training session and your competitiveness is to bring somebody else less than or bring somebody down, it depends. Like, so some competitiveness I think just comes from lack of self-worth, or have been when you've been young, or like all your life you felt like you're not good enough. That's the people who are competitive all of the time. That is not me. I am not competitive all the time. I like to train with people who are as good as me, not as good as me, better than me, because it's just who you build yourself around. I think it can be motivation if you're running next to someone, they're running a little bit faster, you'll then pick your legs up and you'll go a bit quicker. But it's not looking at it as like, they're better than me, let me catch up, I need to be better. It's none of that. I don't really agree with that on, like, I think competitive is only good if you're doing it for yourself. And you're not doing it to tear somebody else down. You see it far too much. And like with high rocks and stuff, like we weren't competitive to begin with. We've only done 2 races together, me and who I do it with, and we ended up doing quite well. So I was like, oh, I might take this a little bit more seriously. And then when we went to Copenhagen, we were like really head to head with these girls, and that's the only reason I was competitive, because I was like, I am not letting these girls in front of me now. But then as soon as we finished, it was like hugs, chatting, how are you? Like, that was so good, you were good at this, da, 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 da. And it's like competitiveness with an edge of everybody is amazing and everybody is welcome. I think the only way competitiveness isn't good is if it's too much and if it's got that negative underlying tone to it. Within training and stuff, I think surround yourself with people who are better than you, absolutely, because that's how you're going to get better. It's going to push you to do the work, but not if anyone is making you feel like your best is not enough.
And I think if you've got that negative mentality that, you know, other people are the worst thing in the world and you've got to beat them, when you do win, like you said, there's hugs at the end and everyone's happy with each other and you're both looking at ways that you can improve, you're just not going to feel good when you win. There's that sense of like lack of self-worth, because you're going to feel so frustrated because all you've done for the last couple of months is you've just hated the other people that are better than you. So then when you do win the thing, it's kind of a bit of a letdown. You don't really enjoy that success as much. I feel like when you go about it in a much more healthier mindset of, I'm competing with these people, but I want them to do the best that they can. At the end of it, no matter what happens, you're still happy. Win or lose, it's like, right, I've done the best that I can. And it's that you versus you mentality of not letting other people get in the way and distract the journey that you're currently on.
Yeah, it can be good in terms of your self-development, because it can push you into a box that you didn't know you could fit in. But yeah, as long as you're doing everything you're doing for the right reasons. And with community, you shouldn't be in a space where you feel like there's competition all the time. I think that can really turn people away and make them shy from like opportunities for growth. Like I'm in a run club right now, and like absolutely anybody is welcome to that. And like my wellness day and stuff like that, like there's no barrier for entry. Like if you can show up, like the thing that we say is like, if you can show up and do your best, then that is enough. But if you show up and it's half-assed and you're giving up, then you're not really that welcome, because you're not here to do your best. Like that is all we require.
100%. So how would you go about improving somebody's understanding of that competitiveness? how would you sort of, if you had a client now and you was coaching them, what would be the first steps that you'd take to help them understand, or if somebody's listening, how would you help them differentiate between?
I think emphasizing that there is only one you, like I was saying before, like, because people might compare themselves, like say I've just posted my holiday, they might compare themselves to how like, oh God, she's on holiday all the time, or she's just been away for 10 days or whatever. But little do they know you might have gone through something awful the week before in your life. They have no idea about it. Or like I do say to clients, like I have some clients who will compare themselves with my other clients because my girls are absolutely smashing it. So like some of them who are maybe new or like are unsure what the current goal is or whatever, they'll be like, oh, this girl's done this and she's done that and she's done that. And it's like, yeah, but you're doing this and you're doing that. Please understand where you are at and how everybody's journey is completely different. And like, that's only going to make you feel worse if you're comparing. But if you look, when you big people up, you feel so good. It's like when someone else bigs you up, but when you big someone else up, you're already getting, it's kind of quite selfish. Like I think this, like when I do nice things sometimes, it makes me feel that good that I'm like, that was actually quite selfish because I've done it because it'll make me buzzing. And like, that's the same thing with like, I will say to the girls, like we've got quite a nice community and they big each other up anyway. But it's like, oh, look what they've done, support that. Or like, let's show up for her and like little things like that. And just understanding why someone feels that way and emphasizing that you are enough.
And I think that comes down to a sense of self-responsibility, because there's the quote which most people should have heard from primary school, if I'm being honest, treat everyone the way you want to be treated.
Yes.
And that is massive when it comes to self-responsibility, because if you was frustrated about something that might have happened with work, a meeting that's gone wrong, or your training session weren't the way that it was, you didn't win the high rocks and you had your heart on set doing it, if you then inflict that frustration onto someone else, they're just not going to be happy with the way you've treated them when it's your issue. You're the one who's not finished the way you wanted with the high rocks. You're the one who had a bad day at work. That's something that you need to solve. So do you think that some people struggle to contain the emotions where they are frustrated and they are angry and they push it onto other people?
Yeah, if you're not content with yourself, you're not going to be able to be content for others. And it's like when people talk about like relationships or whatever, like if you don't love yourself, you're not going to be able to accept love and receive love from other people, or give love properly, because if you're not being kind to yourself, you don't know what that looks like. And yeah, the girls who are or anybody who is comparing themselves to other people and don't think that they're worth what other people are worth, it's just coming from a place of like insecurity and just not thinking they're enough. So it's just practicing feeling like that and like not putting other people's emotions on yourself, or like not letting your emotions take over and change you as a person or change how you want to come across. It's like I said before, what traits you want to show the world. I don't think anybody wakes up and wants to show envy or wants to show bitterness or anything like that. So it's like just grounding yourself and being like, why am I feeling like this? Because that person doesn't deserve that. I don't deserve that. The higher self-respect you have, the more respect you will give others. Like you can't treat people nice but not treat yourself nice. Like it just doesn't really work. You need to understand how you're feeling and be kind to yourself. In turn, you'll be kind to others and it'll flow out of you.
And then obviously the person who's having somebody be envious towards them or disrespectful towards them, they need to understand that it's not something that they're doing wrong, it's reflected on that other person.
Oh, absolutely. I live by that. Like, because I'm such a people pleaser. Like I can get quite anxious about like, you know, like in work or whatever, like if I think someone's annoyed at me or if I think like someone's just thought negatively of me for a second, like I used to really, really like think about that and it would ruin my week like really badly. And like I've had like when someone's been rude to me before and I've been like, oh my Lord, what on earth is going on here? Because I just would not treat somebody like that. I then like had to step back a little bit. Initially I was like, I might cry. And then after 10 minutes I was like, they're clearly having a bad day. And like, it's absolutely fine. Like, I mean, you lose respect for people who aren't nice, but at the end of the day, it's not a reflection of me. It's not a reflection of the person who that's happening to. Like, you can't control how people behave around you. You can just control the way that you react and what you bring to the table.
Yeah, and I think as an individual, everyone needs to have their own kind of mission statement, I like to call it, with when you go into a business or when you're working in a company, they have their own like motto or they have their own set of ideologies that they want other employees to have. You need to have those for yourself. And if somebody comes along and they're being bitter, they're being envious, but you've set the standard that you want to be positive and you still want to show respect to other people, if they're not giving that to you, that's not you know, the green light for you to go and then be disrespectful to everyone else. Stuff that happens to you is going to happen to everyone. Life will come and punch you in the face, but you need to stick to your own morals and values and still try and act on them. And that's when it gets tough. I think a lot of people can try and go on a self-improvement journey, but then when somebody else is a little bit disrespectful to them, or when something goes wrong in their life, it's like, oh, well, it's not supposed to be right for me, or I can't do it like everybody else can. And I think that can, again, come back down to comparison, and again, to people who need to find that self-worth 100%. One of the things that I did want to touch on was what's coming up for you at the minute. Have you got anything that you'd like to talk about?
Well, we've just launched, I say we, me and Millie, another girl who we train with and stuff. We've just launched our wellness brand. So we actually created the Instagram for that like 3 years ago, but never have done anything with it. And so that's all coming into play. Next week we've got our first like sold out wellness day, which will be so beautiful. Yeah, love that stuff. And so we've got so many plans in the works for that. So that's called Move and Glow. There's loads of things going to be going on there once we've launched next Sunday. But then for me, it's kind of the training wise, I will be doing another marathon and an ultra marathon in the next year. High Roxy's, I've got two booked. I've got 2 of those booked. Physique wise, I'm just moving on. I'm being happy with where I'm at. I'm all performance at the minute. So yeah, just doing hard things. Like the only reason I want to do an ultra marathon is because I did my marathon and I enjoyed it too much. So I feel like I need to just go that a little bit further. And yeah, I'm doing a Pilates course at the minute. So just got loads of gorgeous stuff going on.
Amazing. And if anyone was to come and find yourself or wanted to get into contact, where would they go?
So coaching is Gain and Glow on Insta, and then I just post life all over Abbie Atherton. But mine and Millie's company will be called Move and Glow. That is on Insta now in all our bios and stuff.
And that launches next Sunday?
That launches, yes, Sunday the 7th of July.
That'll be when this podcast live.
Gorgeous today then. Oh, we'll be having such a good time eating acai and toasting our little gorgeous gut-friendly pop.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Abbie. It's been a pleasure. And if anybody is interested in listening to another episode, it will be massively appreciated if you could follow on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube, because it does a lot more help than you can imagine. We're trying to grow this channel a lot more now. We're getting more and more guests on, and it just helps a lot more than what you think. I know most of you probably listen to the podcast and forget to click that subscribe button, but please just do it. And if you're wanting to tune into the next episode, or if you've got any other feedback, you can just drop me a message on Instagram.